The most effective method to make the perfect latte at home. Leave a comment. Coffee Guide, by Namaskar. Coffee, latte, cappuccino 691464.jpg. In the event that there's in the realm of espresso a beverage that is both amazingly known and incredibly confounding, that'd be the latte. The wellspring of the disarray begins from the name. Latte implies milk in Italian. What's more, it's the principal justification for the dazed gazes of North American vacationers when requesting one in Italy. The barista would get you simply a glass of, generally chilly, milk. No espresso. However, in the normal speech of espresso consumers, a latte has come to be substantially more than the real significance of the word. The beginning of the name comes from the Italian caffè e latte, which essentially implies espresso and milk. What's more, that is nearer to what exactly is expected when requesting a latte in a bistro today. A latte is quite possibly the most cherished and inescapable espresso drink overall on account of its almost amazing formula. It comprises 1/3 espresso, 2/3 hot milk, and a flimsy layer of milk froth. The general size is in the scope of 10 to 12 ounces. Not amazingly enormous as to be substantial nor excessively little as to complete too early. Pretty much awesome. History of the latte. The name is Italian, yet the beginning of the beverage isn't. The historical backdrop of latte returns to around the 1600s when espresso was getting known in a large portion of Europe and North America. Many didn't stomach a dark espresso. Milk was found to pleasantly cushion the harsher kinds of espresso. No one realizes who previously added milk to their dark espresso. However, in 1867 William Dean Howells composed a paper named Italian Journeys. In the paper, obviously, numerous Europeans had been drinking espresso with milk for breakfast for ages. The introduction of the latte or café latte is in this manner old and unsure. Though old beverages like the bistro au lait or cappuccino or milch cafe were diffused in Europe for quite a long time, it's solely after the Americans began drinking it that latte was financially used to show a blend of espresso and hot milk. Additionally, in Europe, the latte was just a shorthand for café latte. It was simpler to articulate and compose. How can it think about? A simple name for an exceptionally befuddling drink. Numerous comparable espresso drinks exist today that take after a latte, however have somewhat various fixings and dosages. It is profoundly conceivable to arrange a latte in nations everywhere in the world and be given however many various beverages as the bars you're requesting it in. To make it more clear for you and keep away from looks of disarray while accepting your cup, we should perceive what are the contrasts between a latte and three of its nearby cousins. The bistro au lait is French in beginning. It originates before the cutting-edge utilization of the word latte and has savored all aspects of the reality where the French had probably some impact. That is by all accounts not the only contrast, however. It's anything but a latte in the measure of espresso utilized and its preparing technique. A latte is a coffee-based beverage. The espresso is prepared with a coffee machine, while a bistro au lait is a channel-based beverage. In some cases, a French press is utilized to make a bistro au lait. The proportion of espresso to drain is higher in a bistro au lait than in a latte, almost 50/half. Obviously, varieties are galore, so expect to be served a bistro au lait with a similar proportion of espresso as in a latte. In certain bars, the bistro au lait has close to nothing or even no milk froth. Mainstream in Italy is rather a latte macchiato. Try not to take this for a macchiato, in which over a coffee a sprinkle of hot milk is added. In a latte macchiato, some steamed milk is added. Then, at that point, a large portion of a fix of coffee on top, making a white beverage with a little dark stain brought about by pouring the coffee. Macchiato signifies stained in Italian, all things considered. The contrast between a latte macchiato and a latte is hence in the amount of espresso. A large portion of the sum in a latte macchiato, and the request wherein the fixings are consolidated. In a latte, the coffee goes first and afterward the steamed milk. The inverse is for a latte macchiato. Inconspicuous contrasts yet have a ton of effect on the last taste. A latte macchiato is significantly less serious than a latte. More grounded than a latte is rather the cappuccino. The right formula calls for 1/3 espresso, 1/3 steamed milk, and 1/3 milk froth. The froth in the cappuccino is foamed firmer than for a latte, making a thicker layer on top. As the proportion of milk to espresso is equivalent, the flavor of espresso is more grounded in a cappuccino than in a latte. The froth has a more grounded feeling, while a latte is more smooth and smooth. The cappuccino is additionally regularly a more modest beverage than a latte, as a rule around 6 to 8 ounces rather than 10 to 12. Because of the decreased size and various extents of the fixings, the cappuccino is more energized than the latte. Buy now step-by-step instructions to make a perfect latte at home. Enough about different beverages. We know the proportion of espresso, milk, and froth in a latte, yet not how to make a legitimate latte. You shouldn't be a prepared barista to figure out how to. You just to have some persistence and a couple of fixings in gear. A coffee machine. A milk frother. A milk pitcher. An espresso processor, on the off chance that you granulate the espresso yourself. 7 to 9 ounces of milk. About 16.5 grams of ground coffee beans. A cup competent to contain 10 to 12 ounces of fluid. The readiness is direct. Pull a fix of coffee in the cup. Steam and foam the milk in the pitcher, taking into consideration not allow it to froth a lot as it needs to remain on the fluid side. Pour the milk over the coffee, not pouring the foam until the glass is almost filled, around 1 inch/2.5 centimeters from the edge. Then, at that point add the foam to complete your latte. Serve it straight or with sugar, according to as you would prefer. What would you be able to add? Perhaps the best element of a latte is that it is adaptable. Given that the espresso segment of it's anything but enormous, subbing it's anything but an option is conceivable and will not sound disrespectful to numerous baristas. A latte tea is a reality and delectable, for example. Just eliminate the coffee and utilize an equivalent measure of tea of your decision and continue as above. It can't get any simpler. What might be said about the blistering late spring months? You can make a frosted latte. The formula is indistinguishable from the hot latte, however, with a distinction. You should foam the milk significantly sooner and let it cool down to room temperature. Then, at that point add sufficient ice shapes in a cup to make both the coffee and milk rapidly cold and pour the espresso and milk similarly as in a typical latte. Your frosted latte will be prepared in a matter of seconds. Serve and appreciate. Varieties to the exemplary latte proliferate. Sugar is ordinarily added to improve it, as fixing with cocoa powder, coconut shavings, or any syrup of your loving. The choices to make a latte really yours are almost endless. It wouldn't have had a long history on the off chance that it's anything but a super adaptable beverage, all things considered. And the incredible interest of a latte lies in its effortlessness and the ideal marriage of espresso and milk. It is lighter on the sense of taste than a cappuccino, however sufficiently able to get your portion of caffeine. It's anything but a smooth consistency and has countless discretionary fixings that don't go interestingly with the fundamental espresso and milk proportion, yet upgraded. So now go analyze and make the most of your lattes.